Hi there, name's Chris, developer of Interleave VR, a third-person rail shooter developed with VR in mind. It's an exclusive for the Oculus Rift right now, mostly because that's what I've been working with. But as for the whole of VR, basically, it's a mechanism that I basically developed that sort of addresses the issue with third-person view in virtual reality. I've used a lot of demos in virtual reality, and those that I really can't stomach for more than 15 seconds are those that utilize traditional third-person view. Traditional third-person view involves having your subject and the camera behind it. And when there is a pivot occurring, what the camera does is it pivots around the player and the character. And the character, the subject, remains on the spot. So it's going like this. And here's the problem with VR is you're sitting there and you turn your head right. There is no motion of your head being swung to the left in the process, but in the game the camera is being rotated and swung to the left as you're turning your head to the right, because what the camera wants to do is give you the view of the world to the right. But in order to do that, the traditional third-person mechanism makes it so that the camera actually pivots physically in space, whereas your head has not. And this is a sickening effect in VR. Turning your head and having the camera do that, it's like your brain was left behind when your head was swung all the way around the subject. It's obviously a concept not to be used with VR, and to those who've actually done demos out there, please be careful. Third-person view is really atrocious. It feels horrible, and I can't get used to it. I've gotten used to a lot of things in VR so far, and I can't seem to get used to that. Now, before I actually start playthrough with commentary, I want to specify something about VR. There's a lot of concerns and a lot of good arguments made with VR lately, and a lot of arguments for, a lot of arguments against, but there are a whole lot of things that don't exist that are being discussed out there, such as health issues and so forth. If you take all the time I've spent with the Oculus Rift on my face in the last 3 weeks, I think you could basically add it up to 3 or 4 straight days of me doing something in the Oculus Rift non-stop. Of course, this was spread out over the last 3 weeks, but I'm saying if you condensated everything into one sitting, it would actually be 3-4 days straight. And I feel great. I got no issues. My eyes still look straight, and I haven't lost 3 vision points. I feel absolutely fine. I'm actually one to game a lot using stereoscopic monitors, 3D for those of you who don't know what stereoscopic means. And I own a 3DS, and I play hours of it with the 3D slider all the way cranked up. There's still no health issues, so those are all basically hollow arguments that make no sense. I've almost overused VR at this point, and I gotta vouch for it. I feel absolutely fine. There's no problem whatsoever. Add to that all the long sessions I've done in iRacing. I'll tell you what happens when you do too much virtual reality in iRacing. It's your fingers that hurt, because I got force feedback on my steering wheel, and at some point it's my fingers that couldn't take it anymore. Forget the feeling of what the virtual reality does. I mean, I got carpal tunnel syndrome on my freaking fingers in one night sitting of iRacing. So that's a real issue. Health issues with VR are not real. Okay, so let's begin this playthrough here. Let's get back to the game itself. And now I got my Rift on. Oh no, I can't see you anymore. And oh yeah, I love the other arguments like, how am I gonna find my controller or my keyboard? Oh my god, where's my mouse? Where the fuck is my mouse? I can't find my mouse. Come on, people. Like, I got the Oculus Rift on right now. I mean, come on! Please make real arguments. Okay, I'm gonna get back to my game right now because I'm getting myself started here. Anyways, moving my head about in my white box. It's a starter box. Basically, I called it the bullpen. I don't want you to see the scenery. I want it to be a surprise. So it's all nice, milky and white when you start, and you got your title screen here. It says click to begin. You got the game credits, music by Kevin MacLeod. That's all royalty-free music available on www.incompetech.com. And it's all pretty badass, as you'll see from this game. I mean, I did not have to compose any music, and I was able to use some actually pretty excellent music for my demo. And this also goes to the assets and the scenery I'm using. I actually shortcut a lot of stuff I didn't know how to do to make my project a little simpler by purchasing assets off the Unity 3D store. That saved me tons of time. Now, obviously, it cost me a little money, not too much, but it saved me tons of time because I would have had to learn how to model 3D assets and so forth, or do really crappy assets, which is something I didn't want to do. My goal here was to implement this VR mechanic that I had in mind for a comfortable use of the third-person view, and I just didn't have time to go and learn 6 different trades. I really needed to focus on the implementation of the mechanic, but I also didn't want a terrible result visually speaking, so that's why I went to the asset store. So let's get me started here. I'm just going to click to start this demo. Now you'll hear a lot of in-game dialogue, in-game voice, but I'm actually going to talk over it because this is the one I'm doing with commentary, so why the hell not? And it starts off above a mountain. Now it throws you basically in the game at this point. Without explaining the controls right away, it gives you a little obstacle course. Now the obstacle course is, the point of it is to actually smash into the obstacles. As the voice says, you gotta hit the waypoint. So at this point you haven't been explained the controls. It's okay if you look terrible. I've seen some people in this phase of the game do this. Now the Oculus Rift has no such motion sensors. To use the controls, as the voice is about to explain in the game, do not move your body or your shoulders, just pivot your head. It's about to say it in the voice right now.
Move side to side. Look up and down to do it vertically. Don't move your body and your shoulders. Just turn and tilt your head.
Yeah, turn and tilt your head, and that does it. You got the mouse aim, which I implemented, so you can fire at your enemies in given direction. And you got that space bar option, which just pushes the clipper away, the little spaceship. I called it the clipper, kind of cool name. And that's it. Other than that, you're looking at a third-person view rail shooter in the simplest sense of it. Now, inspirations for this game, I could actually mention Proton Pulse first, because Proton Pulse are the ones that are using that paddle method, where you basically look where you want the paddle to bounce the ball off of. I literally inspired myself with that idea from that game, and implemented it for a third-person view mechanic using a space shooter. Other influences, if you've played Kid Icarus Uprising in the 3DS, huge influence. If you've played Starfox 64 on the 3DS, huge influence. Nano Assault on the 3DS also, huge influence. So I'm taking a concept that's normally implemented in traditional gaming to its most basic sense, and implementing it in the complex world of VR. Here's the big surprise. When I started doing this project, I had no idea what the result would be. In fact, I wanted to see what the result was going to be, and if I was right about implementing third-person view this way in VR. And it turns out that it is a massively comfortable experience, and it is somewhat intuitive. You do have to, like any new set of controls, you do have to get used to the controls. The fact that you look where you want to put the ship, and you shoot with your mouse, and you gotta look at the enemy with the corner of your eye to actually spot them. And I'm basically looking down right now to spot an enemy, you know? You gotta get used to looking one way to dodge, and then moving your eyes the other to actually know where you're shooting. Which is what I'm doing right now. I gotta dodge those golden bullets by doing a little circle, and I gotta get my eyes back on my enemy right away, trying to take him out. I think I just got him right there. There we go. Take this guy out. Come on. But yeah, if you don't take him out, he comes back later in the level, which is going to be the case now. There we go. Pick up some power-ups here.
To tell you honestly, I think it's a stupid idea that Clipper has a score system. What is this, a video game?
Now, if you've played Kid Icarus, you'll notice that there's that vast scenery effect and that sort of it's a really complex rail shooter. It's one of those that visually was the most inspiring for this game. I could say Nano Assault wasn't part of the influence, but really most of the visuals were influenced by Kid Icarus Uprising. I wanted that, type of level where you have the mountains and the clouds and the nice sky and everything, and the enemies flying at you. You might even find a similarity between the homing bullets in my game and those in Kid Icarus Uprising. Holy crap, that's a lot of gunfire coming at me right here. I'm going to stay in one piece so that I can show you the boss at the end. But I'm not doing too good right now. I'm going to ask, why am I getting... Oh shit, I got hit again. I do not have much of a tolerance left. Okay, I got it, I'm clear. We should not get hit by these two fuckers. Otherwise, I'm down to one cannon. Okay, here we go. So I have 50 health here. That's another nice thing in this game, the little VR-friendly panel. And it's not like you have your health level accessible directly in front of you, but I've tried methods of doing that. They were kind of intrusive. It's better to have it on the side and have the ship change color as we lose energy, which is the case right now. I'm kind of yellow. I have to be careful not to get hit by this guy. And this is where the mini-boss comes back because I didn't defeat him earlier. I'll try to get that done now. And not get my ass in the process. Took a lot of this HP from earlier. I really did a bad job on it. There we go. Free junk metal for everyone. Finally took him out. Didn't take a hit.
I didn't expect so much goddamn heat here. They said these were the spiritual holy
The
grounds.
orbs.
My ass. This is an
And this time you go a little faster through the power-ups to take them. I'm sort of giving a little more difficulty to the player as he goes. You gotta consider this level as sort of a tutorial level for the game and the mechanics themselves, because I have to consider that everyone who's going to play this game is new to this type of control, as it's not like there's 20 games out there with this model. And I wanted to keep the difficulty level acceptably simple. It's not super easy, but it's not super difficult either. You can actually easily finish this level. If not right off the bat, at least after 2 or 3 tries, you'll get the hang of it. It's just all about getting the hang of the controls. Once you have the hang of the controls, this level sort of gets easy. I did not want to make a hard level because you gotta get introduced to this, and if I ever make a full-fledged game, obviously the difficulty level will increase as the game goes, but this might be your starting level difficulty, basically, and I want to keep it at that through the updates and everything if I ever do any. The difficulty level will not increase too much. I'll get the feedback. I'll see if people have a hard time getting through the game, or if they find it too easy, I'll just adjust the level as I go. But really, this is a tutorial type level that gives the player a fighting chance so that they can get the hang of the controls. Even in fact, I find those 3 homing bullets in a row to be quite tricky. Now, obviously, the boss is quick to defeat. It's a pretty easy task, but you gotta know what you're doing. You gotta shoot in the right place. And if you don't have the hang of the game yet, not only will the battle last much longer, but you actually probably will get your ass kicked. And here goes the game dialogue. All this game dialogue I did myself. Basically, as you can see in the credits, there's only 2 people, the music and me. And anything that's not the music was made by me, except obviously the assets that I purchased, like the terrain, the spaceships, and all that. When it comes to the audio, like the text and all that, I did by myself. So, the scripting and the development. So, that's it. I hope you'll get to enjoy this game. At the end, you get a good summary of what you did. 11,000 points. Not too bad. I can actually sometimes click 13,000. This was not a very good run of mine. You got 31 enemies destroyed here, 2,032 bullets shot, and 262 that hit the enemy, and hits against 7, which is pretty bad, actually. A little while back, I was testing the game and trying to play it really well, and I only took 2 hits. And then you can actually right-click to restart the game or press escape to quit. I'll give you a little example of what happens if you just right click, and the game basically goes and reloads the scene, and you get the startup screen right there. And if you click, the game starts. And suppose you start the game and you're like, oh no, crap, I don't want to start the game just yet, or you just want to end it. Hold the escape key, and this will stop your game. And then basically it's the same concept, right? It says game ended, mission incomplete. Right now I have no points, no nothing, because just started. But if I had done this like in the middle of the enemy battles, I would have had my statistics up to this point. And now what I could do is right click again to restart the game, but what I want to do here is press escape to quit. And take the Rift off. It's kind of weird to see your desktop in like half and half view. Yeah, it feels terrible, so I take it off as quickly as I can. So that's Interleave VR. The long-term intentions with Interleave VR are to develop a full-fledged game, but it's going to be done in a few steps. First off, there's this demo, and I want to see the response to this demo. How are people going to enjoy it? If it does have an extremely positive response, it means I should move ahead with the other step, which would be to start a funding campaign. I need to purchase a Unity license to be able to use Unity Pro for the Oculus Rift and for other reasons. I like the post-processing effects, and there's a few of them I'd like to use. And also I would need to start the development from scratch. Now what I would do is I would improve the current demo into something a little bit larger, but I would not make the brand new game, the full-fledged version of the game, off this demo. Reason being is this was my first full end-to-end Unity project, my first gaming project in Unity, and my learning curve is apparent in the code, in the programming. And I would basically like to improve that. My skills gone up as I was doing this game, and it's now sufficient to the point where I could actually start from scratch and do a way better job implementing all the exact same things. So that would be the ultimate goal down the line, to actually start a fresh project with this exact concept, reproduce this exact concept in a more optimized manner, and get that running to players someday. So yes, down the line I would like to do a full-fledged game, but first I want to see the interest. I want to see if people really like the third-person view mechanic / control, and if that catches on and I do a successful funding campaign for at least a Unity license, I mean that's really all I would need to get going. If I get anything more, I would obviously just jack the game up and just make it even nicer if people are so willing to contribute so much. So that's it, really. I'd like to make a game out of this if people like it, and I'm going to wait to see if people like it and then proceed. So that's it, Interleave VR, a first-person rail shooter for virtual reality. It is the future of gaming, people.